Thank you for checking out this episode of Raised on the Radio. I am one half of this show. I am Colt Brocado. My good friend Patrick Blair in Zoom land as usual. Hey, my chops are back. It took 2 weeks, but
kind of.
What does that mean?
I wouldn't give yourself that much credit.
Is that an insult?
No,
that's not nice. Not nice.
Speaking of which, why don't you ever let me lead the show? Why don't I get to do the lead in?
Dude, you could do it whenever you want. Remember, I said I'm one half of this show, meaning you have equal partnership in the show. So you can do whatever you want, dude. Just ask first.
Oh, I have to.
No, it's going to be a disaster.
Next show, I want to do the lead in, and I want to pay attention to your face when I do it.
Okay.
You know what we need? You know what this?
Okay.
This is what this podcast needs. Forget about who does the lead in. Not important. We need a good PR stunt.
Okay.
Have you seen any good ones lately?
Do you have any in mind?
Like for us, or just ones that I've seen that I think are good?
Well, I was thinking for us, but I have an idea of where you're going with this.
I don't have an idea yet, but we need one.
Okay.
We need one kind of like the one between Conor McGregor and Machine Gun Kelly at the VMAs. Okay.
Do you think that was mutual?
Look, I don't know if it was, but it is now. And I don't even know if it was intended to be a PR stunt, but it is now. So they both win, in my opinion. Maybe MGK wins a little bit more, because I think majority of fight fans are thinking, is this the level that Conor's kind of reduced himself to? Is this who he is now? Like taking swings at civilians? I know he took a punch at the old man in the bar. Let's just clear one thing up. That was an old drunk in an Irish bar. That happens every 5 minutes of every day of the week. So we don't even, forget about that. Doesn't count. This counts. So people are like, this is really what he's become? Because MGK is a civilian. Now he's a celebrity, but he's a civilian. He's not a fighter. So in my opinion, and also the important thing about this is MGK's PR team was the first to jump on this. They were the first to, post on social media about it and leak the story in a way where it made MGK look like I didn't do anything wrong. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in a way he kind of wins this PR stunt war here, man. I don't know.
Because he jumped on it first?
He jumped on it first, but he's also not the fighter. Right.
So is this kind of like MGK jumping on Eminem?
No, that's different.
I mean, I know Conor McGregor didn't diss him, but Conor McGregor did throw the punch.
Okay. Yeah, I know. So, but what's MGK going to do? Like, clear out, bodyguards. I got this. That's a nightmare for MGK.
Right, it is.
That's a nightmare for him.
So do you have any backstory behind this? Like, do you know what happened or why it happened or anything like that?
The story that I think MGK's team leaked was that Conor wanted to take a picture and MGK said no. And then the story that Conor's team said, like, that never happened. MGK said something to him first. I guess Conor was maybe trying to get a picture with Megan Fox instead or something like that. I don't believe any of it. I think if it wasn't premeditated, I think maybe in the moment it became more than it had to be. I don't really think there could have been, who knows? We weren't there. There could have been plenty said. There could have been plenty, but
for some reason, I just don't feel like Conor McGregor was asking to get a photo with Machine Gun Kelly. I don't know why. That just feels weird.
Maybe it was the other way around, but I think the other way around feels a little bit weird to me too, because MGK was with Megan Fox.
Yeah, right.
You don't want to be like, it's Megan Fox. You don't look like a bitch, be like, I got to get a picture with this fighter, with the tougher guy.
Right. Yeah.
You don't do that. So
right.
At the end of the day, it keeps both of them in the headlines, which Conor needs more than anything right now. But that's the way he is. That's the way he operates.
Did you hear his interview about it?
No.
There was an interview about it. There was an interview about it. And if I'm not mistaken, he basically said, I don't even know who that guy is.
Yeah. Well, I did read that. I read that he said that.
Yeah.
Which I find hard to believe.
Really?
I kind of find that hard to believe.
That just sounds like he's trying to talk himself out of the situation.
It's possible, but I kind of find that hard to believe. Yeah.
And if that's the case, you're just taking swings at random people that you don't know in a crowd.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why MGK wins this whole. If we're talking about who looks like the bad guy in the situation, I think it's definitely Conor.
Right.
Especially if you don't know who that is. So you just take a random swing at a tall, skinny guy with fucking glitter on his face. Like, I don't know. Seems a bit suspect to me. But the interesting thing about it to me is this is who MGK is now. He's a tabloid fixture. He's like a fixture in the tabloids now. He's a celebrity. Now, his music is still doing well. He had a number one song. You know, the record, I believe, went platinum. The pop punk record.
Really?
I believe so. Maybe I want to double check that, but I'm pretty sure it did. If I remember correctly, I even think I saw a post, but let me just make sure. So he, the rapper turned rocker's 2020 punk influenced Tickets to My Downfall has been certified platinum.
Wow.
It's the first MGK record to achieve that feat, which recognizes 1 million units certified. He's had singles to go platinum, but not a record. So that's fucking
right.
In 2021. That's a huge deal. So my point is, musically speaking, he's doing just fine. Now he is a fixture in the tabloids, and he's a paparazzi's wet dream at this point because he is who he is. And oh, by the way, he's got a goddamn pinup model for a girlfriend who everyone wants to take a picture of, right?
Right. Yep.
So this is what he not what he needs. It's just what he is. Conor, while he does try to stay in the news cycle, this is a bad look. I'm going 1-0 MGK.
Every time he's in the news cycle, like when was the last time you seen him in the news cycle and it was good?
It's a good. Well, I mean, dude, the build up to the second Dustin fight, he looked like a good guy. They were friends. They were buddies.
But right before that, wasn't the headline that he didn't pay the money to the charity?
Well, that was after.
Like he said he was going to?
That was after. But I'm saying in the build up to that fight, he looked like a good dude. Right?
Okay.
But he does a shit ton for charity himself. It kind of gets swept under the rug because I think people just like the negative. And hey, look, that's his fault. I mean, he threw a goddamn dolly at a bus. He fucking punched an old man at a bar. He, says what he says. He does what he does. I think he probably needs some positive press at this point. This definitely isn't it, right?
Absolutely not.
So who do you got in a hypothetical Conor versus MGK boxing match, which someone at Triller is probably like, all right, we need to make this happen.
I mean, come on.
Boxing match, not MMA match.
That doesn't matter.
I know. Conor would kill him. It would,
especially when Conor is known more for boxing than he is for
no disrespect to MGK
or anything else.
That's a bad idea. Did you see that Dana said that Jake Paul's next fight should be Anderson Silva?
I didn't see Dana White say that, but I've seen there's a lot of talk around these, like the Vitor Belfort fight and so who was it? Anderson Silva and Tito Ortiz, right? And then Belfort and Evander Holyfield, and the Evander Holyfield was a kind of a last minute decision, right? Because was it De La Hoya that couldn't fight?
Vitor was supposed to fight De La Hoya, and De La Hoya got COVID. So
now didn't Vitor call out Jake Paul after that?
Probably.
I think so.
I don't know. I didn't watch any of that. I can't, dude. I can't.
I mean, I seen the highlights. That's all I seen.
I only saw highlights because someone I follow posted Tito getting KO'd.
Right.
And then I was like, well, inevitably someone's going to post Evander getting KO'd, and that's just going to break my heart. He's one of my favorite boxers of all time. But really,
what does that do for Evander?
Nothing.
I mean, like nothing negatively, right? I mean, it's not like he's a current boxer.
Legacy or something.
Yeah.
Dude, he's 60 years old. No, it does nothing to his legacy. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that he was there. And I didn't want to see it. But it's also ridiculous that there were so many journalists who posted footage of him hitting mitts and being like, this is disgusting and saying this is sad. Meanwhile, they jizz over videos of Jake Paul's controlled sparring that you see on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on. What are we doing? You cannot play hot potato with the sport of boxing. It's really, really that all of this stuff. And I've said this over and over. I'm going to say it again. All of this stuff is fine. I understand that that kid pulls in money. That kid pulls in viewers. Great. Not for me. The problem I have is, again, calling him a real boxer, calling him a professional boxer when he has yet to fight another professional boxer. And then, bringing all of these circus fucking sideshow fucking events into the sport of boxing and calling them professional boxing events. That's what's bothering me about it, because you're having to have these journalists and you're having to have people explain why it's okay that Evander Holyfield fights at 62 years old. It's okay because we like shit shows now.
Right.
I feel that it's just a disservice to the sport. And I also think it's a disservice to well, let's make it clear. Evander had a fight scheduled.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember who he was going to fight. I would have to look it up, but he had a fight scheduled. So this wasn't like on a whim, like, hey, I think I'm going to fight again. No. So, and he's been throwing his name into the hat about fighting Tyson and, all these guys. So he knows what he's making these decisions on his own. So I get it. So that's fine. A lot of these guys, they don't know how to stay retired. They don't know how to do anything other than fighting. Right. We said this about Roy Jones when he fought Tyson. I didn't want to see Roy Jones fight Mike Tyson. While I respect Mike Tyson, he's a savage, not even close to being one of my favorite fighters of all time. Roy Jones and Evander Holyfield are two of my favorites. And so seeing them fight at an extended age like that, and then hearing people have to explain why it's okay that they criticize those guys, not for being old, but for looking bad when they hit mitts.
Right.
No shit, fucker. He's 62 years old. What did you expect?
Who has also made a living of getting his head rocked.
Oh my God. Evander Holyfield has brain damage. No, I'm not even saying that to be rude.
I know.
When he speaks, you can tell he has brain damage. It's sad.
Mm-hmm.
So no, man, I can't watch it. Dude, I don't like seeing people get beat up. That's not why I watch MMA. It's not why I watch boxing. I think we've talked about that before too. I like the competitiveness of it. I like the sport of it. But it's still, seeing, well, I'm trying to think, what was one of the last cards that I think I sent you the clip, Khalil Roundtree, what he did to that guy's leg.
Oh yeah. His knee exploded.
Dude.
Ugh.
I don't like seeing shit like that.
Yeah.
But in the moment I was like, oh my God, like I freaked out because I like Khalil Roundtree. I like that other guy too. And it was a good fight leading up to that moment. So in the moment, in the competitive nature of that, what was that fight, I got excited. Then I saw the replay and I was like, oh my God, you don't want to see that happen to anybody. So,
right.
I don't know. But Dana said there's no way that Jake Paul would ever fight Anderson Silva. He said he'd be scared to do it. Maybe he's just poking the bear there, but.
So what is Tyson Fury's son's name, who is also a boxer?
Tommy.
Okay. Is he a professional boxer?
Yeah. No, he fought on the Jake Paul card.
Oh, he did.
He's a pro. But the reason that Jake wants to fight him is because he was on some dating show and he has legitimately millions and millions of followers on social media.
So a publicity stunt.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily a publicity stunt, but those are the kind of fights that Jake Paul wants. Let's keep it.
Which not agreeing with what he's doing, but in his situation, that is kind of what he should be going after, correct?
Yes. And by the way, Tommy Fury is the half brother of Tyson Fury. He's not his son.
Oh, what? Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That was my bad. I didn't do the research on that. I thought somebody said it was his son. My bad. Okay.
It's totally possible that Tyson Fury could have a 22-year-old son, but no, it's not his son.
Okay.
again, this fight makes sense for him because, yes, while the guy is a professional, he's more known for the reality television and the followers that he will inevitably bring to a fight because he is extremely popular in that space. And that's what Jake Paul wants.
So the real question is, and I ask you every time Jake Paul has a fight, if he were to fight him,
yeah,
and he were to win,
yeah,
do you consider Jake Paul more credible as a boxer? Because it would finally be a professional boxer that he boxed against.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, he would have a victory over a guy who actually has pro fights against other professional fighters. But he's only had 7 pro fights himself. And so the people, I'm looking at his record now, he's been pro since 2018. So, I mean, it says, so I remember this. I remember seeing his name. His first fight was on the undercard of the Josh Warrington, Carl Frampton card, which was a huge card. So that's like a lot of, and he is British. So that's like a lot of pressure to kind of make your debut in that atmosphere. Now, again, he entered as an unknown. He has the Fury, right? I don't know. Do I have? Sure. Yeah. If he beats him, sure. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I hate saying it, but yeah, whatever. But that's who he should be fighting. Sure. A guy who's actually fought other professional, using that term loosely, other professional fighters. Let's just look. I'm curious. I have to know this now. So the guy that he beats by unanimous decision at the Jake Paul card, Anthony Taylor. Let's see how many fights he's had. Let's see what I can find here. Anthony Pretty Boy Taylor. He's 5'1". How tall is Tommy Fury?
Is in boxing, if your record is considered, like, say you have a 7-0 record, is that like MMA as far as like your non-professional fights are still considered, or no, not non-professional, sorry, you're
not amateur. Nope, those are all pro
amateur
fights.
Okay.
Yep.
So he's actually boxed. He's had 7 fights,
7 pro fights,
2018.
Yeah.
Is that a lot for a boxer?
No.
Really? Okay.
Especially not one who's 22 and is on the come up. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No. Anthony Taylor was 4-4 when he fought him. Okay. Who's this guy? Jordan Grant. Let's look this guy. And we don't have to do this much longer here. I'm just curious. I just want to know, because I did not do this research prior to this because I did not write about the shit show card. Jordan Grant, 3-1 as a pro.
Okay.
So Tommy Fury, let's just call it what it is. He's wet behind the ears when it comes to boxing. So sure, if Jake Paul fights him, he will be fighting another young guy who's new to professional boxing, comes from a boxing pedigree. So people are going to throw that around as well. And I don't blame them. The Fury family has, I don't know, outside of Tommy, I don't know if there's another one, but there's Tyson, Huey, and Tommy Fury now. So I don't know.
And Huey's a boxer as well?
Yeah, Huey has fought for a title. He is also a heavyweight. Wow. Let me look up his record. He is Tyson Fury's cousin. And he's still only 26 years old.
No offense, sir, but Huey Fury is a terrible name.
What's wrong with his name, bro?
Huey Fury?
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was the WBA International Heavyweight title. So it wasn't. No, that's right. He fought Joseph Parker for the WBO title. Yeah. Before Joseph Parker lost it to Anthony Joshua. Yeah. So he's fought for a title. He was 20-0 when he fought for the title. This was in 2017. Since then, he's gone to 5-2. And he lost to Povetkin. He's fighting. Oh, I didn't know he was fighting Christian Hammer. He's fighting Christian Hammer on the 16th. So he's had some big fights. he hasn't really got the marquee win that he needs. You know, but anyway, he's talented. He hasn't won the fight that he needs to kind of put him over the edge. Anyway, so yeah, I guess we'll see. We'll see. I don't know that. I know that Jake Paul said that that's kind of the next fight he wants, but I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I just there's something about it that I feel like he's gonna keep going after these older guys who don't come from boxing because it makes the most sense. Because look, at the end of the day, if he keeps doing that and he keeps winning and everyone keeps buying in, his professional record keeps going up.
Right.
So then if we're talking about paydays, if he keeps building his reputation as a guy who keeps winning, and these are pro wins and he's undefeated, who's to say 5 fights down the line they don't offer this fucking dweeb a fucking title fight? Why not?
Okay, I guess I'm confused on this whole thing. Like, this is an actual, like, Jake Paul actually has a actual professional boxing record with these fights?
Yes, dude. What do you think my gripe about this has been the entire time?
I guess I was confused. I was thinking, like, I guess for some reason in my head that these were like exhibition type fights. Wait, what? How is this possible? How can he fight Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley, who aren't boxers, and get a professional?
Blame Conor McGregor, dude. That's all I can say. That is all I can say.
This makes no sense.
Logan Paul has a professional boxing record.
So, okay, in that same scenario, does that mean that you should be able to take a boxer? Say you take Tommy Fury and he fights Tyron Woodley and he wins. Does he have another win on his record?
He's a professional. Tyron Woodley has 1 professional fight. So yeah.
What the hell?
What do you think I've been complaining about for the last year and a half?
I don't know, but I'm agreeing with you more now.
And this whole thing, and this is the part that bothers me. If you're a professional boxer and you want to be taken seriously as a professional boxer, stop spinning this whole narrative about how you're some Disney star. What does it matter? If you train, you're training hard, you're sparring, you're doing everything you need to do to be a pro. Why does it matter what your background is? Does it matter?
Okay. Was his fight with, was it Jake Paul or Logan Paul that fought the basketball player?
Jake Paul.
That was Jake, right?
Yeah.
That was his first fight.
His second fight.
Second fight. Who did he fight first?
Ensign Gibb.
Okay.
Far better known as, his name is Louis Al-Fakhri. Better known as Ensign Gibb, a British YouTuber. So they made their debuts against each other, having no boxing experience, and it was considered a pro fight.
Okay, so my mind is blown on this. I literally had no idea that he was considered having a professional boxing record. I thought these were like considered exhibition fights.
Dude, I don't just fart complaints out. Like, I have a legitimate reason to be complaining about these things, man.
Well, I've understood that, and I understand.
No, you didn't get it.
Yeah. Well,
you thought I was just being mean, being a hater, and just bitching, but no. Now you understand.
But no, okay. My point being is that without the record, without him having a professional record, your arguments have still been legitimate. So that's where I've been putting my efforts into, is because your arguments are still legit, no matter if he's got an actual boxing record or not.
Right.
Because
so back to what I was saying.
Your main argument has always been that this is not good for the sport of boxing. Terrible
for boxing. People would argue with me on that, but it's terrible for boxing.
Right.
But to what I was saying, so who's to say if he keeps doing what he's doing, meaning let me just pull these guys who are older, no boxing experience, I'll go ahead and beat them up, or I'll win decisions. I'll keep padding my record, padding the stats, and now this kid's 10-0. Who's to say somebody isn't crazy enough to give him a title shot? Now, look, if he's making as much money as he's claiming he's making off of these fights, and they're doing the numbers that they're doing, if I'm a champion, why don't I go, sure, why not?
I mean,
because there are champions out there in boxing right now. While they're making good money, they're not, if the numbers are true, they're not getting the paydays that Jake Paul had on the Tyron Woodley fight.
right.
So, and he fights at cruiserweight. I don't know. I know the cruiserweight champion. I can picture his face, but he's got a hard to pronounce name. So let me look up who's the cruiserweight champions right now. Because let me see here. I just want to know. And definitely the cruiserweight champions, because cruiserweight is a weight that, to be honest with you, the boxing community cares least about, if not the least, close to it. Because a lot of these guys, that's why Alexander Usyk moved up to heavyweight. He was dominant at cruiserweight, but no one gave a shit.
Okay, so
now he's going to fight Anthony Joshua.
Let me ask you this, because I'm dumb when it comes to boxing, but I mean, is boxing set up the same way that MMA is, as far as like,
no,
you still have to kind of as far as like working your way up the ranks to get to a title fight? Like, is there a rank, is like a ranking type system where this guy, you have a top 5 in a division and you kind of have to make it through those top 5 guys to get to the title?
Yeah, but it doesn't work like that. There are guys that don't have to necessarily work their way up like that. Some do.
I understand you're saying like it wouldn't surprise you if they gave him a title shot. But what I'm saying is, can you bypass an entire division of people just for numbers?
Historically speaking, no. But the longer this goes on and the longer we allow it to go on and the more we buy in.
Yeah.
The problem with boxing is there are too many champions. There are too many, reigning bodies. There are too many promotions. People are made like mandatory challengers when they don't. It just makes zero sense when they are. Like, I just saw today that Terrence Crawford's going to fight Sean Porter. Great fight. I'm going to watch it, but I don't know if Sean Porter necessarily should be the next guy that Terrence Crawford is fighting. But that's how boxing is. You just kind of see these things happening.
Well, I mean, we see.
And I mean, no disrespect to Sean Porter, because he's an ass kicker, and I like watching him fight. But
we see the same kind of things in MMA. I mean, sometimes there are fights where a number 6 guy fights a number 16, and you're just like, why? Why is this happening?
Yeah. So Marius Briedis, if that's how you say his name. If I'm screwing it up, which I'm sure I am, I apologize. He's the IBF Cruiserweight champion. I watched him fight, I want to say, fairly recently. If I'm that guy, yeah, come up so I can kick the fucking shit out of you for an easy payday. But it'll never happen. Jake Paul will never fight one of those guys. So I don't know. But again, I'm just kind of, I guess I'm just thinking out loud when it's like, if this continues, when do the major promoters, the champions, the guys who are ranked and are yearning for that title shot, when do they go, you know what, let me go ahead and step in and put an end to this? When does someone actually say that? By giving him guys like Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley, we're not saying that at all. We're saying, he could beat him. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a bummer.
It's a bummer.
It really is, dude. And I guess it just goes back to that other thing we were talking about too, when I guess it was the Tyson Roy Jones card that Jake Paul was on the card, but he was ahead of, God, I don't remember who was on the card.
Yeah, I remember you were extremely pissed about it.
And then the Logan Paul KSI card, Billy Joe Saunders and Devin Haney were on that card. These are 2 real world champions. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, right. And it good for those guys. I guess they get more attention, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking if I was below Jake Paul. At that point, I think he only had like 3 fights. If that, maybe was that his
Who?
second or third fight that you're talking about? Was that Jake Paul's second or third fight?
Which one?
Would you say Billy Joe Saunders?
Well, that was Logan Paul. That was when Logan Paul fought
Logan
KSI
Paul.
the second time.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Fuck. I don't know, man.
I don't know. I mean, we're treading really weird waters now when it comes to sports. You know,
Now,
well, but you know, it still to me goes back to this all started from the spectacle of Conor McGregor and Mayweather.
so you blame Conor for all of this?
Well, I mean, I guess I would blame the promotions of it. Like it was a huge deal, and it rightfully so. It was a huge deal. It was the first time we'd ever seen something like that. But I wish it would have just died there.
Well, how could it? Because it was such a huge deal, and then it did so well. How could it just die there?
Because of who it was at the names that were involved in it at the time. But I get what you're saying. Like it did so well that people are still going to crave this kind of stuff. You can't just let it go.
How interested would you be watching Francis Ngannou fight Tyson Fury?
I'd watch it.
For real. You would.
I would.
I know I'm not saying for real like I'm amazed. I'm saying you would buy into that fight the same way you would have bought into Conor and Floyd.
Probably not as much.
Really?
Yeah.
Just the sheer possibility that Francis lands a hammer on Tyson Fury doesn't intrigue you enough to spend $80 on a pay-per-view. It does me. It does me. Now,
so
listen.
It intrigues you more that Ngannou could land on Fury than it does that Conor would land on Mayweather.
No. But here's the reason why. I can't stand Floyd Mayweather. And I want to see
you want to see him get knocked out.
Yeah. I like Tyson Fury. I have a ton of appreciation for him as a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
So I care less about seeing him get knocked out. But I also, if Francis doesn't land a hammer on him, I think Tyson would just box his goddamn face off. And it would not be a good night for Francis.
Yeah.
I don't know. That intrigues me. So I wouldn't say no to that. And to be honest with you, Francis is one of those guys who's come out talking about fighter pay. Tyson wins his next fight against Deontay Wilder. Francis beats Cyril Gane. Why don't they both go, hey, let's make an agreement here. Let's talk about it. Now, obviously, Dana would have to agree to it because Francis is under contract. King Dana is in control of all of this when it comes to UFC fighters. That was the only way Tyron fought Jake Paul. He was released from his contract.
Has he re-signed, by the way?
Who?
Or is he going to re-sign? Tyron.
With the UFC?
Yeah.
I fucking hope not.
Well, I just wonder because we talked about this when it first happened, when we first seen that he was released. We wondered, well, maybe this is because he is gonna fight Paul. And that ended up coming to fruition. But I'm wondering if there was talks between Woodley and Dana there. There was kind of like a mutual agreement and that he could come, because his fights were over, right? He didn't have any more on his contract.
Well, first off, I want to say that we predicted that publicly first, so we should have gotten all the credit. We really did. I don't care what anyone says. Secondly, no, I don't want. I mean this out of love and being a fan. He needs to retire from fighting. Period.
Yeah. That's
just it. It's so. It's just. I hope he didn't. I didn't hear that. I don't think Dana wants him back, to be honest. I don't think Dana ever really got along with Tyron. I don't think Tyron ever really got along with Dana. Tyron was one of the first people publicly that Dana kind of crucified in front of the media, talking about he fought a boring fight and, he doesn't expect people to want to watch him moving forward, this and that. So
who was that about?
Tyron.
No, I mean, what fight was it that
the Damian Maia fight?
Really? Even Dana White said that?
Yeah.
I never seen that. What the hell, dude?
He said, I wouldn't be surprised if people don't ever want to watch Tyron again. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but it was.
I mean, I understand where he's coming from because everybody said that, but also he fought the fight he needed to fight to win that fight.
I didn't think it was a boring fight.
That's how you fight Damian Maia.
But also,
don't let him take it down.
But also, I like wrestling.
Yeah.
So that wasn't a boring fight to me. As someone who I appreciated the wrestling in that. Tyron's a badass wrestler, and he proved that.
Right.
But most people blame him being called a boring fighter on the Wonder Boy fights. The first one, I don't know how you could think that was a boring fight in any universe.
Right.
The second one, while it wasn't as entertaining as the first one, again, how the fuck else was he supposed to fight Wonder Boy? Right. Was he supposed to do walk into a sidekick so he could land a shot? What is he supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
Should he fucking shoot a fucking double leg and get fucking kneed in the face? Like flying knee, jumping knee to the face? Like, I don't know. And people call that kind of like fighting scared. I don't call it fighting scared. I call it fighting smart. You know,
absolutely.
Could he have done more? Sure. You could always be doing more. Can you land more? Sure. Can you get hit less? Sure. But that's, I don't know. So I hope he doesn't come back. Who's Cowboy fighting? Doesn't he have a fight?
I didn't even see. I know he's going down to 55 again.
He doesn't have a fight booked yet then. I think he just said he's going down.
It's January. That's all I know.
He's fighting?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Well, now let me rephrase that. So I think I sent you the post that I seen on Instagram, and it's basically him in his fighting gear, and it says January 155. So my assumption is that he's got a fight scheduled for January, and he's going back down to 55, which I expected because Dana pretty much has publicly said that he's going to give Cowboy one more chance. And I didn't think he was going to stay at 70.
Did you know that he's been accused of racism, sexual harassment, and homophobic and transphobic comments?
Cowboy has?
Yeah.
Were these statements made on the Joe Rogan Experience?
I'm not even going to dig into that. Never mind. Yeah, it doesn't say on his Wikipedia, so I don't know. There's another guy. I say this out of love and as being a fan. It's time. It's time to ride off into the sunset.
Yeah. So before we get too far away from the whole spectacle conversation, if a promotions team wanted to put together an all-star card that was, say, 4 or 5 fights from different divisions of your best boxers in MMA and best boxers, would you be down to buy that card?
So champions from MMA and champions from boxing.
Well, okay.
Or you're just saying best boxers.
You can take that route, but I think that I don't know if that would work as well because, like I said, the best boxers, thinking that you're going to have better boxers that are in a division, but might not necessarily be a champion.
Okay, so you're saying Nate Diaz, who is considered a good boxer, you want him to fight
whoever
one of the best 175 pounders in boxing.
Yeah, right.
That's a bad idea, dude.
Whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, what I'm saying is, say you want to make a card of, say, 4 or 5 fights, and it's, the same division that they're in. I mean, I know boxing is a little different, but it's pretty dang close. Would you be willing to buy that card?
Let's keep going through the list. Or who?
So, I just want. Well, you mentioned Ngannou and Fury, so we put that on. We put that on the card. That could headline the card if we wanted to.
Okay. So, I mean, technically speaking, if you're talking about Nate, he could fight a 175 or a 168er.
Correct.
That is a bad night for Nate Diaz. I'm just, you know who the 168 champ is, right?
Who?
That's Canelo.
Oh shit.
That's a bad night for Nate Diaz.
Yikes.
I mean, he could fight Caleb Plant, who does have a belt at 168, but no, that's even Caleb Plant is likely a bad night for Nate. No, not likely. Caleb Plant is a bad night for Nate. And then all the guys at 175 would just pound the fucking shit out of him.
Yeah.
But let's keep going through who you think are some of the best boxers in MMA. This is a fun exercise.
I don't have any off the top of my head. I was hoping that we could have a little back and forth here because I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of like top fives in a division.
Max Holloway is considered a good boxer.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely.
So you want him to fight Terrence Crawford?
Yes, that would be fun.
Dude, come on. I love Max Holloway. Again, I say this out of love, and that's a bad fucking idea. Dustin Poirier is considered a good boxer, right?
He is.
So you want him to fight Jermell Charlo or Brian Castano? That's a rough night for Dustin, dude. Who else? Who else we got? I'm trying. Who's considered a good boxer at 205?
But if any UFC fighter, which I mean, it would be a win regardless because I think the numbers would be huge. But if any of those fighters actually, or the UFC fighters actually win in those, it's like a massive win for UFC, right? Or do you think it matters?
If Max Holloway beats Terrence Crawford, yeah, that's like fucking historic. Yeah.
Okay.
Terrence Crawford's arguably the best pound for pound boxer in the world. Everyone says it's Canelo. Some people, no, I mean, that's fucking insane if he does that. That's why everyone wanted Conor to beat Floyd. It would have meant that MMA is just as sort of elite as boxing when it comes to combat sports. And I think what Floyd proved is it's just different. It's just different. Now, whether Floyd was playing around with him or not, there's no reason to debate that anymore. He proved it's just different.
Mm-hmm.
MMA boxing and regular boxing, boxing, they're just two different beasts. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's a bad night for most UFC fighters. But you mean you would have to take boxing champions. I mean, there are some guys that aren't champions that are former champions, and maybe you could do that. You know, that's a possibility, but.
So your basic answer is it's a bad night for every UFC fighter, but you haven't answered the question, would you buy that card?
Yes, 100%.
You would. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, I would buy it.
Yeah, you would. You absolutely would.
Well, especially if Tyson Fury and Francis are headlining. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm buying that. But,
well, you'd have to. Well, one of us would have to buy it because we're definitely going to be doing a fight companion for that.
Well, don't call it a fight companion.
I'm sorry. What would we call it?
I don't know.
We'd have to come up with a new name.
Don't call it that.
My bad. I didn't mean to do that.
I think it's been proven. Those two words put together can very easily be attached to douchebags.
They can. You're correct.
Have we talked about that on this podcast, by the way?
About those two words being put together?
No, that big guy that wants to fight Dylan Dennis. And just the bro testosterone energy in that room.
From that clip you sent me.
And Rampage feeling completely out of place and uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't think we talked about it. So who was it? Do you remember the guy's name?
No.
He owns a gym, but I don't know
Bradley
what else
Martin, maybe.
He owns a gym that Brendan Schaub goes to, but I don't know what else there is that he does.
He's a fitness guy. He's a fitness influencer.
Okay.
That's what he is. There. Yeah, that's his name. Bradley Martin. That was one of the things that really, really, really annoyed me that he said when he was like, when they were talking about, oh, we can get you a fight, but it has to be someone who's kind of equal level of popularity on social media and on YouTube. And he goes, there's not many. And he said it like that. I was like, ugh. It's just like that self-congratulatory behavior that you see out of that group. It's just vomit-inducing.
You know what else is vomit-inducing?
Tell me.
So my wife has been staying up with the baby at night.
Yeah.
Because I went back to work. And she has been watching Seventh Heaven. It's just like the show to have in the background. And I woke up the other morning and realized that Brian Callen is in Seventh Heaven quite a bit.
Yeah. You know who else is?
Who?
Sebastian Bach. If you tell me you don't know who Sebastian Bach is, this might be our last podcast.
Why? I know the name.
He's a lead singer of the band Skid Row.
Okay. That makes sense now.
Dude, what the fuck, man?
Sorry.
What the fuck, bro? Yeah, I kind of remember. I don't remember him from the show because I've never watched it, but I remember him talking about it. Do you know? I'd rather watch Seventh Heaven than what my wife watched when we first had our baby and was on in the background. Do you know what the show? No, Sebastian Bach is not in Seventh Heaven. He's in the show that I'm thinking of. Sorry, my bad. But the show that she would watch.
I was agreeing with you, but I was in my head trying to figure out where this guy is.
My bad. No. So she would watch Gilmore Girls, which makes me want to put a bullet in my freaking brain. I would much rather watch Seventh Heaven. And I don't even know. Is Seventh Heaven the one that has what's her name?
Jessica Biel?
Yes. Yeah. Was she in that show?
Yes.
Okay, I do know what that is. Yeah, I'd rather watch that just to look at Jessica Biel than watch the Gilmore Girls. It is. Anyway, that and Mad Men, which I cannot stand that show. I don't understand the appeal.
Wait, where did that come from? That you were just connecting Mad Men to?
She watched Gilmore Girls and Mad Men.
She watched Mad Men. I see. Okay.
I think it's John Hamm.
I like Mad Men.
Oh, I can't stand it. Can't stand it.
Sorry.
Every character in that show is like Wendy Bird to me. Yeah. So what is Brian Callen in that show? God, that guy.
I don't know.
That guy literally has been. He's been in everything.
I don't know like enough to tell you who he was, what his name was in the show or anything like that. I just recognized his voice at one point and looked at the TV. I was like, holy crap, it's Brian Callen. And then the next morning I woke up and he was on the TV again. I was like, what the hell? How many seasons was he in of this show?
Yeah. So, and that's the other thing. So there was a video floating around, other than the one that I sent to you, a video of Brian Callen and that big dude wrestling. And the amount of seriousness between it, like they were really trying. So like a guy in his 50s and a guy in his 30s wrestling each other for no reason other than to taste each other's sweat. I don't know. Yeah, my God. It's weird. Speaking of, I was going to say, never mind. I'm not going to do it. But speaking of things,
you have to.
Did you see that the women's U.S. soccer team is going to get the same contract as the men's team? So this is kind of a landmark day for women's sports.
It is. I seen this so random question that might sound dumb. I'm not sure, but does the same company own both men's soccer and women's soccer?
Well, it's not a matter. They're governed by the U.S. Soccer Federation.
Both of them are, though.
Correct.
And that's who offers them the contract that shows what they make?
Yes. U.S. Soccer Federation said it had offered identical contract proposals Tuesday to the players' associations for the men's and women's national teams, and the governing body said it would refuse to agree to a deal in which World Cup prize money is not equalized. The unions for the men and women are separate. Under federal labor law, they have no obligation to bargain jointly or to agree to similar terms. The men's contract expired in December 2018. The women's agreement runs through this December. And this is a quote here from someone from the Soccer Federation. U.S. Soccer firmly believes that the best path forward for all involved and for the future of the sport in the United States is a single pay structure for both senior national teams. This proposal will ensure that the men's team and the women's team players remain among the highest paid senior national team member players in the world, while providing a revenue sharing structure that would allow all parties to begin anew and share collectively in the opportunity that combined investment in the future of U.S. soccer will deliver over the course of the new collective bargaining agreement. So, what does this say? After the U.S. Soccer Federation asked the men's union last week to voluntarily equalize World Cup bonus money paid to the federation by FIFA, former men's national team players declined comment or did not respond to the requests for comment. So what this means is previously the men's team was getting more bonus money if they did well and qualified for the World Cup and then advanced in the World Cup. And the problem with this is the women's team, if not wins, goes really deep into the World Cup every time they're in it. Not only do they qualify, but they were top 3 in the world every year. Whereas the men's team, all things considered, they fucking suck. So that within itself was kind of a bullshit move. But now this kind of evens things out. And look, man, I know at the beginning you kind of joked with me about, are you going to be sexist about this? And I want to surprise you right now and say, no, I'm not. I think based on merit, the women's team should get equal or more pay than the men's team because they're just better. They dominate the rest of the world and the men's team can't fucking has trouble qualifying.
And I agree with that. This is not me disagreeing, but if there is a time where the women's team is not better, does it still justify it?
How much time are you talking? Do they miss 4 consecutive World Cups? Then we might need to revisit something. But let's be very clear.
But can you restructure it then? I mean, it took so long to restructure it to where it's fair. And then all of a sudden we have a downhill slope and now they make less money.
They can restructure when their contract's up. So when the women's contract runs through this December. So when their contract's up, the new contract will state that they get equal pay and they don't get they get the same amount of bonus money, right?
Yeah.
When that contract's up, if they're losing, the federation can do when they can renegotiate and say, we're going to give you less money because you're not winning.
I mean, I guess in the bonus structure, like you have to be winning and you have to, and doing well to get those bonuses, right? So,
well, I think you get paid to win.
Right.
In sports. Now, let's throw soccer aside a second. Do professional men's basketball players make astronomically more money than women's professional basketball players? Yes.
Yeah.
Is it fair?
Depends on how you look at it, right?
Probably fair. It's probably fair.
So you're not taking the sexist route with soccer, but you are with basketball.
No, legitimately speaking, with basketball, the amount of revenue, economically speaking, the amount of revenue, just everything that the NBA does better than the WNBA, it's just, there's no comparison. Should the players get paid more? Which ones? Should LeBron James make more money than Sue Bird? Yeah. He just, culturally speaking, is a bigger phenomenon than Sue Bird is, or ever was, or ever will be. Sue Bird's getting. But anyway.
But none of that is like the fault of any of the women's players, right?
Of course not. No.
That's the WNBA, and I guess how they promote themselves and how they promote, all of their players. Like WNBA would need to be a bigger thing if it could be. People would have to accept it for more than it is, I guess. I don't know. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful.
Yeah, people are going to have to start watching and caring.
Yeah.
They don't. They have a very specific audience. Whereas I think the NBA is a global audience. I think it hits many different age demographics. I think it culturally hits many demographics. Internationally, it crosses over. I just think it has more appeal. And again, that's not the women who play in the WNBA's fault. It's just the way it is. I don't know how to fix that. I don't know if there is a way to fix it.
Right.
Am I guilty of this? Yes. I don't watch the NBA or the WNBA. I don't watch. I have no desire. I don't care. But should I? Because I love basketball and I appreciate the game of basketball. I probably should. I know there are a few girls that I've seen and I'm like, Jesus Christ, she's good. Like I've seen highlights, or I've every once in a while, if there's a playoff game on, I'll kind of like put it on in the background and so I can appreciate it. But yeah, I'm guilty of this too. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm
right. I will fully admit that I've never watched a full WNBA game.
I've never watched a full game. I have watched a full women's national team game in soccer.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, as far as like college goes, I've definitely watched some like really good playoff games and stuff like that for women's basketball. But no, I've not in the WNBA. I've never watched a full game.
Yeah.
Literally, maybe the most amount that I've ever seen is probably if I was like sitting in a bar and it was on a TV close to me. And I'm blaming myself for this. I probably should give it more of a chance. I haven't.
Yeah. Have you watched the women's national team play soccer?
No, I have not.
Can you name any players?
No.
Alex Morgan, never heard of her?
No.
Hope Solo, never heard of her?
Yes.
You've heard of her?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. Mia Hamm, you know who that is? Abby Wambach?
No.
No?
No.
Megan Rapinoe?
Yes.
Okay. So you just said, what I just 5 legitimately I just named that I'll keep going. Do you know let me think. Did I say Mia Hamm? Did you say no or yes to Mia Hamm?
I did for sure.
You said yes?
Yes.
How many men's players can you name in the history of United States men's soccer?
Shoot, I don't know. I've never followed soccer ever.
Landon Donovan?
I don't think I've ever heard that name.
Oh my God. Clint Dempsey.
Nope.
I just named the 2 biggest in history. So
in history, those are the 2 biggest soccer players in history. For
the men's United States national team, yes.
Okay.
The 2 most popular.
You're bringing it down to the U.S., right? So there's bigger names out there than those 2.
I'm talking about U.S. soccer. Well, that's what we're talking. Why would I be talking about the Brazilian team, dude? Who cares?
I'm thinking of names that I would know.
So you don't know you've never heard the name Landon Donovan or Clint Dempsey. How about Brian McBride? He's from St. Louis.
Oh, really? That's cool. I have no idea. Soccer is not.
So based on that, the women should probably make more money.
Because I know more names?
Yeah. I named the 2 most historic U.S. men's players, and you didn't know who the fuck they were. Okay. Someone would argue that with me. I'm trying to think of who else they would name. No, it has to be those 2. It's those 2. All right, hold on. I'll tell you right now. Hang on.
I'm hanging.
Top scoring U.S. men's soccer players. I know I named the top 2. No, I didn't. Yes, I did. Yeah, by far. It's not even close. They both have 57 international goals. What about Kobe Jones? You know who that is?
Nope.
Fuck me. Yeah, man. The women, they should. Yeah. Josie Altidore?
Nope.
Why'd you make that face, dude?
I've never heard that name.
But you've heard of the women, so that's what I'm saying, man. They just they should get more money. DeMarcus Beasley.
No.
Tim Howard.
No.
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna know anyone else. Well, that answers that. Argument over.
Not really. I mean, It
has a lot.
I'm not fighting against paying women more. I'm saying that but the fact that somebody who doesn't know soccer at all, just because I know more names in women than men, doesn't necessarily mean that one should get more money than the other. Because I'm a very soccer dumb person.
I think it should be based on merit. And if we're basing it on merit and we're basing it on winning, the women by far should, at the very least, be paid equally, if not get paid more.
Right.
That's, just the way it is.
We were talking about the bonuses earlier, though. You're talking about like winning bonuses, right? Like, I guess the winning later in seasons and stuff like that, like playoff type.
No.
Where bonuses come in.
So that's not how it works. We're talking about international soccer. We're not talking about professional soccer. So you're thinking of it like the WNBA versus the NBA. We're talking about international soccer. They play in international friendlies and international tournaments, meaning they play against other countries of the world. Okay. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about professional dollars. Professional soccer players, men versus women, the men dominate, just like the NBA players do. Dominate. It's not even close.
Okay.
But this is different. This is national soccer. So they have contracts through the U.S. Soccer Federation to get paid to play internationally. So we're talking about a different thing. I don't know
Gotcha.
exactly how the bonuses work. Let me see if I can find something. But I mean, it makes sense that, and that if I played on the women's national team, I'd be like, hey man, why are they getting more bonus dollars when they're not even qualifying half the time and we're winning?
Well, see, and that's what I was trying to think. Like, I was wondering if the bonuses came with winning. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, and that's the other thing too. So they get rewarded it as a team and then it's split up amongst the team. It's not like each individual player gets a specific amount. So that's another thing to consider there as well. So if
Gotcha.
that's the case, and we're basing it on team merit, if the men's team is getting more money to split than the women's team, that's preposterous.
Right.
I can't find anything.
But is that better than like some players making way more than the others?
I think it's equally as yeah, I think it's the same in a way, but I think again we're talking about no, the men shouldn't make more. I don't know how to make this argument other than the fucking men suck. Here, what I found something. Okay. Okay. So the 2018 World Cup in Russia, the French national team. Now, again, I know we're talking about a different country. They were awarded $38 million for winning the World Cup. The U.S. women's national team that won the 2019 Women's World Cup were awarded $4 million.
So $34 million difference.
Yes.
That's insane.
Okay. So now you know what their gripe was.
Right.
I wish I could find something about the U.S. men's team and what the 2015 Women's World Cup reportedly earned $73 million in revenues, including $17 million in television commercials in the United States. But these figures are nothing compared to the $6 billion of revenue that the 2018 Men's World Cup earned in Russia. Jesus Christ. Fuck, $6 billion. Anyway.
But still, that comes back to what I said about women's basketball. Like, it's not the women's soccer team's fault, or it's not the women's fault in the scenario.
Well, how can it be?
It's just,
of course it's not.
right.
It's not their fault, but
right.
But they have a legitimate reason to be upset.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
they do win.
$34 million difference. That's insane.
They do win more.
Yeah.
They're better. They're just better all around. Did they go about it the right way? Because I know there was like holdout and like lawsuits being talked about and all that stuff. Hey, you want to get shit moving, sometimes you have to go to those extreme measures. I don't know how extreme it is in the grand scheme of things, but I remember people talking about it. So it did create some sort of news, and here we are today. They get equal pay. So good for the women. How do you like that? I wasn't sexist at all. You were the sexist one this time.
Well, listen, it's got to change hands sometimes.
Yep. You know what we didn't talk about on the last podcast before we get out of here is that we didn't talk about the Beartooth show, or did we?
No, we didn't. Didn't get a chance to.
You should have gone.
By the way, anybody who listened to that episode, it kind of cut off shortly. Reason being is because your son decided to bust his mouth open or something, didn't he?
Yeah, he face planted.
Nice. So
he's tired of the floor talking shit to his mouth. So
he did something about it.
He did something about it. Yep. He's okay though.
But yeah, no, you sent me a few clips from the Beartooth show from Kansas City, right? That's where it was at.
It was in Kansas City. Yeah.
Yeah.
Glad to be going to shows again, man. I can't wait to go to more. We'll see. What kind of.
I might actually be going to Point Fest this weekend.
Oh, I didn't even know that was this weekend.
Yeah, it's flown onto the radar, and it's a weird show because I think there's only like 6 or 7 bands, so I'm sure it's all main stage. I'm sure it's all main stage. Shinedown's headlining.
Seether, Shinedown, Seether, Bad Flower, Grandson, Greek Fire, 0936, and John Harvey.
Yeah.
How much are the tickets?
I don't know. A buddy of ours has a hookup for me, so I was invited. Yeah. I was invited to go. Other than that, I was not going to go.
Yeah, that's. I don't want to say anything bad. Maybe I'll see you there.
Is that a joke?
No, maybe I'll see you there.
You might actually go.
Yeah, why not?
So, anyways, Beartooth show.
It was awesome. You should have gone.
Is it what you expected?
Yeah, I think it was better than I expected, to be honest. We had a great time.
It seemed like it was in a smaller venue.
It's like I don't know how to describe it. Maybe like a Del Mar Hall. I don't even know if it's that big. No, it's probably more like I don't know. I can't really think of a venue in St. Louis that compares to it size-wise. It was pretty big. There were probably 500 people, maybe more.
So is it like a red flag?
Yeah.
In St. Louis?
Let's call it a red flag. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was cool. Again, it was, better than I expected. We had a blast, and they sounded good, and it was just good. And they were making sure everyone was vaccinated. You had to show a vaccination card, or you had to prove that you tested negative for COVID in the last 14 days.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, leading up to it, I was expecting someone to be an asshole about it at the door. I just expected something. Now, we did get there a little bit late, so perhaps that could have happened before I got there, but I didn't see anything. Everybody was like, here.
So you mean somebody who was wanting to get into the show? You thought they were going to be an asshole?
Yeah, or just protesting the idea that they were requiring vaccinations to see a rock show. Gotcha. Some fuckhead doing something like that. But I didn't see any trouble.
Have you seen anyone, and I don't even know if they could legally do it or not, but have you seen any venue or anything like that not offering refunds since they just implemented this and shows have been booked for a while?
I don't know.
Do you think they can legally do that?
I don't know. I have to give a refund. You would think.
Yeah.
You would think. I mean, but I could be completely wrong about that.
I mean, I don't see how they could legally, because in that instance, they're basically saying get the vaccine, get tested, or don't come to the show, even though you've already bought tickets. I don't see how they could legally do that. I think there would be some lawsuits out there.
I would imagine. Yes. I can't imagine that, but I don't know. But I haven't seen anything or heard anything. That's the other thing.
Do you agree with the idea of either showing a negative COVID test or being vaccinated? Do you agree with venues doing that?
You're really asking me that?
Okay. Other question. Did you feel safer in there because of that? And I ask you that because I'm in the same scenario right now. Even when I go to the store, we have kids at home, and it's not just about us getting sick anymore. It's about going home and passing it on to our kid, So my question is, if you are in a venue that that everyone in here has either tested negative in the past couple of days or they've been vaccinated, does it make you feel safer?
I would say not safer, but at ease.
Okay.
And I was never worried about getting COVID. Me.
Yeah. Right.
I've always been worried about just bringing it home to a 1-year-old.
Right.
But we've been living our lives. That's why we went to that show.
Right.
I'm
not downing you for it. I definitely would have went too. And
let me answer your original question.
Okay.
No, I don't have a problem with them doing that.
Okay.
Because that show was packed. Everyone was shoulder to shoulder. There were gaps and there was room to kind of sit, take a step back and not be around people, which I truly do appreciate. No, it's probably the best idea.
Right. But you probably would have went to that show regardless, right? Even if they didn't have those things in place, would you still went to the show?
Well, those weren't in place when I purchased the tickets.
Oh, they weren't? Okay.
No.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, we were still going to go. So, yeah, I mean, maybe put us at ease a little bit. Sure. But.
Well, so we don't have to go deep into this because we are running up on time, but I've had this conversation recently about how I think is it Florida that the governor is wanting to fine businesses who are rejecting people who aren't vaccinated. Have you seen this yet?
Maybe.
So like if you're a restaurant and you are refusing to let people in who are unvaccinated, your restaurant is going to be fined. I'm almost positive that's the Florida governor.
Ron DeSantis.
Sure.
Fucking Florida governor celebrates ban on school mask mandates as more kids die from COVID. Vanity Fair. Hold on, let me find the story you're talking about. Reinstates ban on mask mandates. Court was. What did he say? You're saying he's gonna fine people?
Yes.
Finding
How
the fuck can he do that? A business can turn away whoever they want.
That's my point.
That's
exactly what I said. You know, I understand how people can agree with this because they're mad, but if you can have a sign on your door that says no shoes, no shirts, no service, you can also add in there that you have to be vaccinated, or, you know, no unvaccinated people. The reason why I say this is because if you're a business, if you're a restaurant and you want people in here to feel safe, and that is how you want to do it, you're taking the risk on losing those people to not come in. Maybe even permanently if people are that mad because they can't go in and get your food.
Yeah.
But I know in my life, if I walk up to a restaurant and it has a sign on it that says you have to be vaccinated or you can't come in, if I'm not vaccinated, I turn around and I go get in my car and I go to another restaurant.
Well, you're a model citizen.
Right.
And a patriot to your country.
Right. So what I'm saying is people need to look at this as like, that's the company's decision.
Well, you're thinking rationally and logically, and
I know
people don't do that, Colt.
I know. I get it.
Speaking of which, that reminds me of something I wanted to mention, but we don't have to get into it too much. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is threatening to impose hefty fines on city and county governments that require their employees be vaccinated against COVID. DeSantis said Monday, when did this come out? September 14th. Oh, it came out yesterday. DeSantis said Monday that his state would fine the local governments $5,000 for each employee that is forced to get a vaccine in order to continue working. So that gets a little bit tricky, right?
A little bit.
We're not talking about businesses now. We're talking about something different. But the threat stems from a law DeSantis signed in May that bans governmental entities in Florida from requiring proof of vaccination or post-infection recovery to gain access to, entry upon, or service from their operations. Additionally, the law imposes a $5,000 fine per violation for any entity, including government entities, that ask to see proof of vaccination in Florida. The state is preparing to begin enforcing the law on Thursday.
So isn't this the exact opposite of what Biden just said?
Pretty much.
That he wants to force everyone to get vaccinated, and if your company doesn't want to do that, then they have to pay to bring in a team to COVID test all your employees.
Pretty much.
Like multiple times a week.
Last Thursday, President Joe Biden announced that the federal government would mandate COVID vaccines for federal workers and contractors. He also announced an emergency rule requiring all employers with 100 or more employees to require that their workforce is fully vaccinated, or that the unvaccinated workers produce a negative COVID test at least once a week. DeSantis said, "This is political. It's about using government power to control," he said. "We're going to protect these jobs. We're going to protect livelihoods, and we're going to protect families." I'm not seeing anything about the businesses, though. Let me see. Oh, here we go. From the Tallahassee Democrat. This was published September 2nd. Florida to issue $5,000 fines to businesses requiring proof of vaccination. Doubling but tripling down against those trying to impose measures to fight off the coronavirus. 2 days after DeSantis' administration followed through on a strike to withhold funds from school districts, the Republican governor's office confirmed that Florida will start issuing $5,000 fines to businesses, schools, and so I guess governments was the last sort of step of his whole thing.
I guess so.
Jesus, man. Florida's a fucking shit show. Who wants to go to Florida anyway? Florida sucks. Yeah, man. I don't know what to say. I mean, if my work, do you want to go to work? Just fucking get vaccinated. I don't know. I hate saying that and taking that approach, but it's like, what else are you going to do?
I mean, I get it, but that falls into the line of you're being forced at this point to do it.
So do you think these government entities should have their employees get vaccinated or not? So you're on the side of the restaurants turning away people who are not. But
I mean,
you're not.
I still think, you know, me and you talked about COVID endlessly, and we still come to the agreement that it still should be your choice if you get vaccinated or not. So now you're going to lose your livelihood because you don't want to get vaccinated.
I agree.
You know,
I mean, I'm with you on all that.
I know. I don't agree with them being able to force people to do it. Highly encouraging is one thing. Forcing you or you lose your job, that's another thing. Because that's not only going to, you know, make people lose their jobs, but also make companies go under because they're going to lose so many people that aren't going to want to get vaccinated. I mean, what happens in the school system? What happens if teachers, there's so many teachers in school districts who refuse to get the vaccine and quit and lose their job. And now you don't have enough teachers to teach kids.
Replace them with teachers who will do the right job anyway. Can I tell you what teachers should be? Have I talked about this on this podcast before? Have I gone on my teacher rant?
I don't think so.
Teachers should no longer be, here's the lesson for the day, here's the homework, come back, and then there's going to be a test. Fuck that. That is such an archaic idea of what educating.
It's definitely old school.
People
and
is.
It follows a curriculum that you have to, you know, at the end of the year prove.
Throw it all into a big fucking bonfire. It's over.
Right.
Teachers should be curators. They should be people who want to discover what a kid does best and what a kid is interested in, and then mold them together and find that kid a direct path
right
to whatever it is they want to do with their life.
Right.
Forget about calling them educators. Forget about that. They should be curators, really, for those children that they have.
But then again, how do you do that for a young kid? Like, I can understand that from maybe like
give them options other than math, English, and history. Why the fuck are we teaching kids algebra? If a kid comes to you with some equations and says, hey, check out what I figured out, cool. You're going to be an engineer or a mathematician. But just give them options.
Yeah. I mean, my point is, like, you know, you're saying don't teach kids algebra. If a kid wants to be a mathematician and needs algebra, then do that. But what I'm saying is, like, 7th grade on, maybe I agree with what you're saying. But like before then, how are you going to know what a kid wants to be? How do you make a curriculum that lets a kid go the direction they want to go?
I'll tell you how. Don't criticize them and don't punish them for being spontaneous and creative and not paying attention in class. They're fucking kids.
Yeah.
Find out what their imagination holds.
Yeah.
Learn about it instead of just punishing them for not paying attention to your stupid lesson.
But then again,
every time someone would ask me, why did you get a bad grade in math? I just wanted to be like, because my balls are tingling all day and I don't care about math. I don't give a fuck. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. But whatever.
No, I get what you're saying. I understand.
Why don't you care about geometry? Because I just want to go to the bathroom and jack off because everything gives me a boner. That's why. It's so stupid. Anyway.
I don't know. I'm, you know, on top of that, you have, you know, one teacher to, you know, 20 or 30 kids in a classroom at a time. You know, try to get one teacher to be able to find out what every kid is good at in an hour. Or, you know,
no. That's what I'm saying. Forget about classrooms. Forget about class times. Forget about curriculums. It's an open forum to discuss freely what it is you like, what it is you love, what are your hobbies, what have you been thinking about lately? Tell me what it is. Let's attach that to something that you could learn that will help you expand upon those ideas and expand upon that spontaneity and that creativity and that imagination you have, instead of just shoving it down so we can get the lesson over with.
Well, I mean, it
goes
kids
homework. Like kids get homework.
It even gets into, like, you know, I've been saying for years, and I know a lot of people say, but like your prerequisites for college. You have 2 years of college that you have to pay for nothing. Very preposterous. I mean, rarely is there a time where what you used in what you used in your prerequisites in college actually benefit you. Unless you're going for like a business major or something, you took a lot of business classes in your prereqs, but a lot of those prereqs just are
You
stupid.
still take bullshit.
Yeah, you still take
Believe
bullshit
me.
that have nothing to do with anything that you're doing.
Yeah. I applied for MBA programs and I had to look at the course schedules and I had to look at the stuff that I had to take first. And I was like, what? Why the fuck am I? Why?
Right.
So I don't know. Let's end on that. Talking about boners in class and shit. It is true though. It is true. Like I have a different outlook on this as well, because I went to private school my entire life. And then in high school, I went to school with all dudes. I didn't even have girls in class, which makes it worse. It just makes your brain want to not pay attention even more. It just makes you but that was me, dude. I was a daydreamer. Like I did not, mainly math. There were other things that, I don't want to completely shit on my education. It was mainly math for me. But anyway, my wife is texting me, feed me over and over and over. So, the fuck do I look like? A chef?
And on that,
Live on